With our COVID-19 numbers continuing to head in an encouraging direction and the positivity rate now finally below that 5% goal, a lot of students might be headed back to class, back to campuses, the first time in months. Yeah. So part of our KSAT Q&A today, Inga Cotton, founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms. Thanks for being with us. Want to talk to you first about your biggest recommendations for kids and families who are making that decision to finally head back to the classroom. What are the biggest ways they can prepare?
Yeah, so it's decision time because a lot of schools, depending on their calendar, maybe first quarter is ending or there's a new grading period starting, and that's an opportunity when families can choose to have their kids go back on campus. But it's important to do your research. Kids need to know that when they go back on campus, it's not going to be the same as it was back in early March. There might be fewer kids in their classroom. There might be shields on their desks. They might have to wear masks. There's going to be more hand washing stations. So we encourage every family to research what the new procedures are on campus and then spend some time talking to your kids ahead of time, just so that they know what to expect and they're not disappointed. Maybe they can't play the same way at recess as they used to.
And we know that all parents aren't ready to send their kids back into the classroom, so distance learning is continuing in a lot of situations. Talk about how important it is to find that balance between independence and supervision.
Yeah, it depends a lot on the kids' ages. So like my friends who have very young children, sometimes they really have to sit side by side with them and make sure that they're able to use that technology and get stuff turned in and stay on task. But what I encourage families is, like, as your kids get older, and even surprisingly young kids can learn these technology skills. They can learn to check, what's their to-do list today, make sure they get stuff turned in. But it's always good to have that safety net of, going in at the end of the day, make sure stuff gets turned in, maybe every week go in and check the grades and just make sure that things are on track and have those open lines of communication with the teachers, because we need to give lots of love and care to the teachers. They're working very hard, but they care deeply about the students and they want to help us and they want to answer our questions.
And a lot of this happening while parents are balancing their own jobs at home, working from home on top of this. So whatever decision families have made about their child's education, not an easy one, right, during this entire pandemic. So what would you tell parents to watch for, no matter how their child is learning, in terms of red flags? How could a parent tell, okay, the current situation is not working for my child?
Yeah, this is something that comes up a lot in our, so we have a discussion group on Facebook. It's open to people in the San Antonio community, moms, dads, guardians, grandparents. And sometimes people will message me or one of the admins and say, I have this anonymous question, I'm concerned. And then we'll share it for them and get feedback. And so it might be something more subtle. It might not be just that they're not turning stuff in or the grades are low. It might be something more like they just seem to want to lie down all the time. They seem to be losing interest in the things that they used to like. They talk about how much they miss their friends. So those might be signs that maybe the isolation is getting to be a problem. And we've shared resources on our website about things like mindfulness and mental health and how to take breaks and, just to ways to cope as best you can with, for those adults who are working remotely and for kids who are doing remote education, but it's important to, look at the big picture and say, are we making the right trade-off? Or does my kid need to be with a teacher? Do they need to be with kids their own age that they can play with and socialize with?
And Inga, all of this can be stressful just to try to take it all in. How important is it for you to find time for wellness, doing things like outdoor activities, stepping away from the computer screen, not being in front of it all day? Just talk about that.
Yeah, that's really important. I think there's this myth of productivity that, just the more minutes you spend at the computer, then you're winning. But that's not true. It's really better to take breaks and then come back to the computer more productive, right? It's better for your health. So having like a set of stretches that you do, or maybe like a few simple yoga poses, that kind of resets your body. Taking a moment of mindfulness where you're thinking about how you feel, but not judging how you feel, right? Maybe if you feel a little sluggish, it's because these are really tough circumstances that we're all living in. And then ask yourself how you feel, ask your kids how they feel, and then think, how would I rather feel in this moment? That our feelings are not, it's not something external that's being pushed on us. It's something that we have control over inside, but it's a skill that takes practice. So just, understand that productivity means having balance, right? So you work when you're at your best, and then you take a break and refresh yourself. And going outside is fantastic. My family, we've loved the Greenway Trail system here in San Antonio and the Texas State Park system. And those have really been our escape and our refuge.
And a lot of people have needed that over these last 7 months. Before we go, tell people how they can be part of those Facebook groups or the other online groups. How can they find that resource?
Yeah, so San Antonio Charter Moms is a nonprofit organization, and it's free to join the Facebook group. So it's the San Antonio Charter Moms discussion group on Facebook. And we have a website with free resources how to research schools. So we want families to find schools that are the right fit, whether it's a charter school, private school, magnet school, traditional public school, homeschooling, pandemic pod, you name it. And so, you know, the focus is on education, and it's meant to be a welcoming and supportive group where you can say, hey, this is what I'm concerned about. And it's parents helping parents to problem solve, because that's what we all need right now, is a little extra help.
And again, not just for parents of students who are in charter schools, for any parent who's looking for just to bounce ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
Come join us. We welcome you.
All right, Inga Cotton joining us from San Antonio Charter Moms, giving us some really good advice as the semesters continue. Thank you very much, Inga.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
We'll be right back.